next and last presenter for the Mobile Enterprise session is NIls Bunger. He is with MobileSpan, and these guys are going to talk a little bit about how you get maintain access to all of your corporate information and documents without sacrificing security. Right?
That's right.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, so the floor is yours. You have 6 minutes.
Cool. Thanks, everybody. My name is NIls Bunger. I'm the CEO and co-founder of MobileSpan. We make people productive away from their desks. I'm here to talk to you about mobility and productivity. Those terms have become synonymous. Getting things done away from your desk makes you productive, right? Wrong. The reality is, we've only scratched the surface of productivity. I can use email and calendar on my phone, but that's what I could do with my BlackBerry in 2007. Email is just a small part of the workflow. The reality is that there's thousands of enterprise applications, hundreds of terabytes of content stores living behind the firewall, and they're important to all enterprise workflows. In reality, this is about the executive editing a contract on the go. It's about the service technician being able to access their documents and their schematics and update their ticketing system. It's about the sales guy having the latest presentation and kill sheets with them and being able to quickly update their CRM. These are really about growing your business, about keeping your customers happy, and about closing the deal. That's what mobility needs, and it falls on IT. So let's start there. IT has an infrastructure in place already, but the challenge is that people are increasingly working beyond the firewall on all kinds of devices. IT has to figure out how to maintain data security and provide easy access. And fundamentally, they've got to use their existing infrastructure because you just can't rip and replace for mobility. Today's tools are just poor workarounds and they don't get used. Screencasting, well, Windows and latency just kills the usability. VPN is too cumbersome and it's fundamentally insecure. And the latest rage is building lots of custom apps. But you just can't build enough for all the enterprise workflows, and it ties you down to device platforms. So I want to show you an alternative. This is MobileSpan Workspace. When you open the app, this is what you see. These are all the apps and docs that IT has enabled for your use. You can touch these and in a single touch have access to all those resources. And you can take the ones you use most often and drag them to your favorites area. Your favorites area becomes your app's home screen, so there's single touch access to all the things you need most. I want to show you this feature called pinning. When you pin a folder or document, you take it offline, which means you can use it even when there's no network. You're pinning directly from SharePoint to file share, so if the file changes in its original location, it automatically resyncs. You can view documents when you're on the go, and then with a single tap, you can have an editable view. Now, what's really important about this is real Microsoft Office. It's not some third-party off-brand editor that's going to screw up your documents. We built this on top of Office Web Apps, which means it's local, it's responsive, and it won't screw up your documents and piss off your coworkers. We've added a native embedded browser to the product, and that's how you access all those apps and docs that are on your home screen. And this is fully responsive, so you can scroll, you can pinch, you can zoom, just the way you would expect. And for things that aren't actually, in your favorites area, you can pull down a URL bar and access any other intranet URL from your intranet and pin that as well. Under the hood, we built this on Google Chrome. In fact, my co-founders were Google Chrome dev leads, so we really know how to harness that platform. So that's the end user view. But let's talk about what it means for IT. IT simply deploys a single Windows application on a single Windows server, and then you install apps on remote devices directly from iTunes. There's no changes to your DMZ. There's no changes to your firewall. And you can do the whole thing in 60 seconds. The pieces together create this end-to-end secure connection all the way from the gateway to the remote device. And content on the remote device is sandboxed so that it's protected and isolated anytime. If your device is ever locked, you can simply revoke it with a single click, and then when it shows up on your couch cushion the next day, you just re-enable it. You can scale MobileSpan just as easily as you deploy it. You simply put down more MobileSpan servers. There's no load balancers needed. There's no six-figure architecture projects needed. These gateways are stateless, so you simply put them down in just 1 more minute. The product is simple, And so we kept the pricing simple. Small work groups, totally free forever. And beyond that, it's just per user pricing. Aer Lingus has deployed us. Richard said this was the fastest trial to production he's ever seen in his career. We have 3 founders in the company. My co-founders, Google Chrome dev leads, myself. I was a Foundation Capital Entrepreneur in Residence and founder of Panalogic. And we have awesome investors. So what we want is we want to talk to you. If you have remote workers, if you have people on the go who need to be productive, if you just want to hear more about our worldview, or if you're just tired of slides, just come talk to us. We'd much rather show you the real thing. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Dean.
So, you talked about the existing solutions to access your apps having latency and performance issues because you're connecting to a server running somewhere. But in yours, you're apparently connecting to a server running somewhere. So why do you have latency and performance issues?
There's a fundamentally different latency requirement when you're screencasting, right? Because if you have an extra 50 milliseconds of delay when you touch something to when you see a response, it starts to feel like you're swimming in molasses. When you're doing document syncing, when you're doing web browsing, which is effectively the things our products enable, you don't have that same latency constraint. An extra 100 milliseconds of latency doesn't matter. So we work really well over core networks, and we don't put a lot of demands on the enterprise network. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I guess, one follow on that. So you mentioned pinning, and then you mentioned editing with Web Office.
Correct.
Can you edit in document offline? So is Web Office resident inside the container?
You can't edit offline, and we made that choice because if you do, you break documents, right? Quick Office tends to do bad things to documents, and if you try to save them back, you've lost all kinds of formatting. So far we've said, you gotta be online to edit. And it seems to work for people's workflows.
Eric.
Yeah, clearly Aer Lingus is a very innovative airline.
Yes.
What people may not know is my predecessor is there.
Well, yeah. Now my question
All
really
kinds of
is,
airlines, yes.
I'm thinking about using, as a user, we always get troubled when there's some kind of change in behavior or look and feel, whatever. It's always hard to adapt. Do you see friction in your sales process from that sort of potential change in user behavior?
I think in most cases we're enabling new use cases that aren't well served today. So there isn't an established user behavior. I mean, existing tool like Citrix is really not being used except if it's a total emergency, and usually by the IT guys. So, people are in a place where they say, I have a tablet, and how am I going to do this? Not so much trying to change the behavior.
Does it tend to be a vertical sale then?
Yeah, I mean, it tends to be more than anything use cases. I think the 3 use cases that we outlined are the ones we see a lot: executives, service technicians, salespeople.
It looks like from your presentation that your key differentiation, if I look at the space, which is, as besides the companies here today, lots of companies are talking about mobility, security, all of that, is that your capability to provide documents and or attachments, or this model is the differentiator. Is that the differentiator, and is that enough as a company?
So we're really going higher into the business layer than a lot of the other things, right? I think the thing is that access, security, these are all components of any solution. But the reality is, like, how do you edit a document? How are you going to present a PowerPoint with animations? How are you going to, tie back into things quickly? Those are the kinds of things we're solving. So it's fundamentally about kind of documents and actual workflow end-to-end. That's effectively our differentiator. And fundamentally, I guess the other thing I'll just mention is our architecture is cross-platform. So we're not going to stay on just phones and tablets. We're going to go to PCs and whatever else comes next. We don't tie into the platform-specific APIs.
So you touched upon, I think, kind of Windows-based applications and Windows platform in general, right? Can you speak a little bit about, your integration with non-Windows-based applications and, document types?
But the question was non-Windows applications? Yeah, so basically anything that's a web application, we simply can do HTML transport. So we do HTTP under the hood as a proxy. And anything that's an Office document or a PDF or something like that, we solve the rendering and the editing